Thank you for tuning in to Full Disclosure, created intentionally for aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners who are hungry to learn from the best. This is not an aspirational interview podcast. We're going to do things a bit differently. Each Full Disclosure episode is a mini masterclass led by an expert going deep into one topic to do with growing your business. The part that I'm most excited to share with you all is every episode, one lucky listener wins a free consultation call with our experts. If you want to learn more how you can apply for that, it's in the show notes of the episode. I am Aleena Khan, your host and fellow entrepreneur, and I'm here to make this journey of growing your business honestly less overwhelming and less lonely. So with that said, get your notepads out because you're going to want to save a lot of tips from this episode. Thank you guys for tuning into Full Disclosure. Today's episode is all about retention marketing and why it matters. If you don't know, retention marketing is basically your email and SMS strategy, not something to overlook at all. It genuinely leads to sales and conversions, and we're going to get into it. My guest is Sam Safi, and he actually has his own retention marketing agency helping fast-growing D2C brands called Frosted. And he has some really cool clients like David Beckham's supplement brand IM8, Muhammad Ali's daughter's brand Layla Ali. There's a brand called Castleflex, which is like killing it on e-com right now. So many brands that he works with, and I can't wait to learn from him. I met him myself at a networking dinner, and I instantly could tell that he has a lot to share. And you know that I only pick people who share on my podcast. So without further ado, Sam, super excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Aleena. Excited to be here. Super excited to chat about everything retention, e-commerce, and everything in between.
Let's make retention marketing fun, because it is.
Literally, right?
It is. And you are passionate about it because I feel like we've chatted about it before this episode, and there's a lot on a tactical but also emotional standpoint that I know we're going to get into. And I find it really fun that you kind of see it from both angles. Before we start though, I have a rule at Full Disclosure where if an episode doesn't provide enough value, we literally don't air the episode. No pressure. I know you're already vetted, but I'm going to have you take a pledge that all my guests take. So we're going to handshake at the end of the pledge if you agree. But Sam, do you commit to full disclosure on this episode today, not holding back, but really oversharing your strategy tips that can really help my community and listener base of entrepreneurs and business owners?
I commit. Let's go.
Let's commit. Let's lock in. Okay, amazing. So let's get started on the basics, because at Full Disclosure, there's no dumb questions. So I don't want to assume anyone knows this. Like it's hard and overwhelming to know it all. Mm-hmm. And there's so many parts of marketing. What is retention marketing in your opinion?
Good question. So the way I look at retention is it's how do you get your customers to come back again to buy from you, as well as how do you convert them after they've landed on your website?
Yeah.
Because if you look at ads, they get somebody's attention, they bring them to the landing page, but there's always a cohort of people that won't buy, right? So I say, let's take someone called Jason who might have a son. Let's say he's on a landing page, he's about to buy something, and Jason's, son has spilt his cereal on the floor. Mm-hmm. He's gone. He's out your journey. So how do you get him back? You get retention in play, right? If he gets an email, he's probably going to be like, oh yeah, I was about to buy that one item. He goes, he buys it. Retention gets the credit for it because you reminded him, right? And then it's how do you get Jason to buy again and again and again. So yeah, it's about how do you keep the people that you've spent your hard-earned money to get? How do you keep them?
Before we get into the strategy, I mean, you have some really notable clients, and I know that there's loads of agencies pitching to work with clients like this. I'm just fascinated, like, how have you landed some of these top clients?
Yeah, so that's always an interesting question. Like, how do you land clients? I think for me, there's been a few key things that have worked really well. Firstly, good partners. So the first thing is I have the pleasure and the privilege of having some incredible agencies that already serve the brands that I work with. Mm-hmm. And because of our relationship, they make introductions to us. And that's one way. Another way is a straight hustle. Sometimes I'm a customer of a lot of the brands that we work with. And what I'll do is once I purchase, if I notice that, for example, they maybe don't have a customer journey dialed in for post-purchase, then I'll literally just try to cold email the founder. And there's actually been instances where there's a specific brand I really wanted to work with, tried to cold email the founder, got no response. So I actually found them on Instagram and I just dropped them a DM. And what I did was I got my team to design an entire email for the brand just up front and sent it to them. And it somehow ended up in a very productive conversation and a beautiful working relationship.
And do you mind sharing, because I think it's fascinating what outreach actually works or converts. Do you mind kind of like reading a bit of how you approach the message without mentioning the client name?
Yeah, absolutely. Here,
Let's do it.
Now. Here's a message. So it's like, hey name, brand, customer, and massive fan here. What you're building is epic. Quick one. I noticed that I've not received much post-purchase communication from the brand after I purchased. And running a retention agency, this naturally made me think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to chat or uncover some ideas. In fact, I locked my team in a room for 8 hours without food or water, only brand supplements, and they came up with this masterpiece. I'm the guy who's emailed you a few times about retention. Are you the right person to speak to about it? And then I actually sent him the attachment of the email that we designed for the brand. And funny enough, founder got back to me, hey Sam, appreciate the hustle. Can you email me your findings? And let's see how we can work together. And, I think took a good 4 weeks of, back and forth, arranging calls and all that stuff, but here we are.
I love that. And I love that you kind of had this hook where you're like, I locked my team with no food and water. Like that gets your attention.
100%.
So you're not wasting his time with just like a fluffy email that looks like you copied pasted to everyone else.
I think now, especially in today's day and age, right? Like I speak to a lot of founders. A lot of founders are my friends. And from an agency perspective, they get bombarded by everyone trying to, like, if you look at, typical, yourself probably, I bet your inbox
Oh, by the way, the cold outreach has infiltrated WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I just got my first cold outreach voice note.
No way.
That was way too far. I'm sorry. A voice note? I'm like, I don't know you like that. It's intimate. I thought that was so weird.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. And literally everyone I speak to, all the founders or my friends, they say that they are jaded from cold outreach.
Yeah.
So I always think to myself, I'm like, if there's a specific brand you really want to work with, how can you go above and beyond for that person, right? So the best way is just to do the work first. And if they don't reply, it's okay because, you've lost nothing. Mm-hmm. But if they can see what you've done and the effort you've taken, you might just get an amazing opportunity out of it. So I always believe in value up front. It's the same way I deal with everything pretty much in my life, and literally just translate that to this.
So true. As a brand owner, when I can see that someone customized the deck for my brand or made that extra effort, someone once did a cold outreach and she did a whole deck that was already like ideas for Citizen. And you can tell when someone's using one thing and sending to 50 people.
Yep.
I can tell when they actually fully were excited to pitch to my brand. And I think that's like the feeling. And sometimes you don't want to give ideas for free, and that's almost like a lack mindset. But I think like you're like, I'm not afraid to give you this idea because hopefully you're going to be inspired to then want to hear more from me.
I think about if someone was to work with me and they sat at the table and they were like, hey, like, why don't we do this and that? Like if they just, like your podcast name, Full Disclosure, if they just gave everything full disclosure and just started to share ideas, my immediate reaction as a founder is like, hey, like, what does it look like to work with? Like, can you just help me do this thing?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit down and try to figure it out myself. And this is the philosophy. Like, a lot of founders are actually lazy, but in a good way. So they're not going to try to do it themselves. They just want to see that you know what they're doing and you can help move the needle. And the best way to do it is actually show that you can, move the needle.
Totally. So now let's help these founders on retention marketing.
Let's go.
So obviously within retention marketing, there's email, there's also SMS. Do you feel email is king? Is SMS king? Which one do you focus on more usually for your clients?
I think they're half brothers.
They're equal in your opinion?
No, I wouldn't know. Actually, maybe half brothers isn't the right way to say it. I'd say email is the lead because it's the channel that most people, check on a day-to-day basis. Like how many times do you check your email in a day?
Literally, like I refresh my email like 15 times a day, I swear, like Amazing. On my phone. And this is like not counting laptop. But I'm constantly like, because I'm excited to see how people responded. Like I'm always reaching out to people. There's partnership ideas.
Precisely. And that's pretty much how most people live their lives, right? And just on a very small sidestep, a lot of people say email is dead or it's an archaic channel. In fact, a lot of founders don't really even use email. And a good barometer is like, how often do you check your email on a day-to-day basis? That's how often people are genuinely logging in. It's probably more logged in probably than social media, I'd assume, right? But yeah, so I would say email is definitely king, and SMS is more of a supplementary channel, which you can play off of email. So if someone doesn't open an email from a welcome flow, for example, then you can send them an SMS after a certain period of time. And that has a much higher open and a click rate. But yeah, you play them off each other, basically.
Okay, interesting. Email is like multiple times a week you're hearing from a brand. On SMS, is it too much?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the brand's playbook, right? So, for example, there are certain brands like, there are like these big supplement brands where they have what's called a churn and burn type of list, where they spend so much on advertising and then they just blast you with email and SMS. And for them, it's like they literally think buy or die. So it's like you either buy or you're churned, and then we'll retarget you at some point if you want to buy again. So for that type of brand, very aggressive outreach, that's the playbook, right? I think it's important to define your playbook. So what is the game you want to play? Are you very aggressive and you don't mind, churning customers? If in the occasion they might come back, if so, you can be more aggressive. If you're, just up and coming brand, then I understand you want to not burn the SMS card, grow your customer base so that you can eventually spend a lot more on ads.
It's so true. It's so budget related because if you're in an industry where the customer acquisition cost is really high, you can't afford to do burn and churn, right?
Exactly.
Because those people doing it either have huge budgets or they're in an industry where it's very easy to get another customer. But some, like beauty, for example, you can't bet on it being that easy for a low cost, at least, to acquire a brand new customer.
Yeah, I also think it comes down to your offer stack. So a lot of these supplement brands have already got an offer stack nailed down where they've bundled enough products so they can make their like this whole game is about economics, right? How can you make the economics work in your favor?
Oh, so if the average order value, is that what you mean by offer stack? Like if someone's spending like, they're usually buying 3 products plus or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It starts with sourcing. So how much you can source for and how you can get economies of scale from your sourcing.
Yeah.
Then from there, how can you make an offer stack? So you're bundling and getting the highest average order value possible off your first order. Then you can start playing, the acquisition game. Because then if you can get, lower your CAC and whatnot, you can be a lot more aggressive. A lot of brands I know pretty much break even on CAC and they rely on the lifetime value to come back and
which is all retention.
It's all retention.
Yeah,
exactly.
That makes so much sense. So if we start with email, there are flows and campaigns. Can you explain both to the listener and then tell us like where your head is at when you think of both? How do you approach both for a brand?
So simply put, a flow is an automated email. So it follows a if X, then Y kind of syntax, right? So if I sign up to the newsletter, then I will receive this email. Mm-hmm. So it must have a trigger before an email. A campaign is something that's live. So let's say today or coming up is Halloween, right? And I want to send an email on Halloween saying, hey, we've got whatever % off on Halloween. This is a campaign because it is sent at a certain period of time.
How many campaigns do brands normally send a week? So for us, our cadence, which may not be right or may be off, so I'm curious to hear what you think. We do usually 2 campaigns per week, which is like our always on. Obviously, if it's Black Friday or a moment like, a Labor Day sale, there's more than 2 per week. And then that's separate from the flows.
Firstly, I think 2 campaigns a week is way too less.
Way too little?
Way too little.
No way. Okay, well, we're doing that wrong. Thank God I met you. Interesting.
When I speak to founders, the main thing that I always hear is I'm scared to scare my subscribers away.
100%.
Right? And this is the number one fear that anyone I've ever spoken to has. Like, oh, what if I email them too much? Let me put it this way, right? The biggest brands that we work with send between 3 to 4 emails a week, some might even 5, right? A week. There are some brands that send an email every single day.
Oh my God.
The caveat is, what are you sending? If I'm going to bombard you 6 times a week with a discounted offer, unless you're like an actual discounted brand with a churn and burn list, it might work. But for the most part, most people are going to get pissed off and they're going to not want to buy from you and unsubscribe, which is what you fear, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we flip the script here and we start sending educational content, stuff that people want to read, they have no reason to unsubscribe. Because if they look at your brands and they see something that they actually care about and they actually want to open and want to read and they learn or get some form of either entertainment, either value from, and this comes down to your content strategy, now the whole game changes, right? And what happens is you are now top of mind more often, which completely changes the game, right? If your competitor is sending 5 emails a week with a good content strategy and you're sending 2, who's going to get more sales?
So true. It's not about the frequency or some formula. It's actually like what is in each email.
Exactly.
And why am I love something that you shared actually where it helped me think about it. I think you said something like, when my email pops up, like what crosses your mind? Kind of, is it, oh my God, spam?
Exactly.
Or is it, oh, I can't wait to click this?
Exactly.
So let's get into like the emotional side of email. I know you have like a signature sort of method of how you approach it with like different parts. So I want to hear all about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think first thing, just to go on that point real quickly, we all have somebody, like we all have like a, what I call like a label in our minds, right? So if I say a random person in your life, you're going to get an emotion that arouses when I say that person's name, right? And that's because they've made you feel a certain way. There might be one person that's like, oh, they're so annoying. There might be a person that's like, oh, like I really like to listen to what they have to say. Your audience also have that same label in your mind as a brand. So if you keep sending spam sales and invaluable content, that's the label you're going to have, and people are going to unsubscribe.
So true.
If you teach them value, they're going to be like, oh, like I'm going to open this because you've now trained that they're going to learn something. They're going to be entertained in a certain type of way. That changes. Now you're in a different league. You're in a different category of brand, right? And that's the goal.
I genuinely find it really helpful because it's like, just think of how, like, humanize all this basically. It's like, if you're a person,
Literally.
is it like, oh God, she texted me again? Or is like, oh, I can't wait to open up her text. And I think it's helpful because, and just to like help give creativity to the listeners, it doesn't always have to be a promo. It doesn't always have to be about your product. It's what is, I guess, aligned with your industry that's also educational. Like if you're an F&B, like can you also recommend fun like restaurants in your city to pair with your product? Or if you're in beauty, can you have like a community Q&A where you find out everyone's beauty routine? It's like, I think what you're saying really helps me brainstorm beyond product marketing, really. And maybe we all need to think about like what are fun segments where every Tuesday it's this segment, every Thursday. That kind of helps us also not fall into the just promo this, that. You know, it's like, what's fun to open? What's fun to hear?
100%.
Yeah.
And like one thing you said that I believe in a lot is humanizing things, because I think in this industry, there's a lot of like tactics, like, oh, you need to send this to it. It's like, hold on, like tactics are the tip of an iceberg once you've got your fundamentals down. Everything starts with philosophy and fundamentals, right? It's like, do you even understand your customer? This is the number one thing. So like you said, right? If you're like with F&B, if you know that your customers are foodie and they like to go out and eat, like why not recommend them something that will make their day and make them want to open your email?
Exactly.
So before you start, you know, like all the mixed martial arts or the tactical side, like actually understand your customer. And this leads me to the sentence that, you know, we kind of live and die by at Frosted. And it's a sentence from Blair Warren. And he says, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies.
Wow. Okay.
So in your copywriting, if you literally just get a Miro board or like a piece of paper, you know, whatever you want, and just write down, encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, help them throw rocks at their enemies, and just try to understand this, right? What is their dream? So let's look at an actual brand called Castleflex.
Yeah.
It's one of our clients. It's Martha Stewart's ex-managing director, Dan Castle, and he sells a stretching device, right? It's a patented device that Dan's created, and it helps you get dorsiflexion of your foot. Yeah. Basically, in a nutshell, stretching bands snap.
Okay.
So when you use a stretching band or use a towel, you're not actually stretching your leg properly. He's created a device where it stretches your toes back, where you don't need another human to basically stretch you.
Okay, nice.
And it gives you the best stretch pretty much of your life, right? So if we take his brand as a direct example, encourage the dreams. He's targeting people, let's say in their 40s to their 60s. Their dream is to feel like they're in their 20s again, right? They want to feel young. They want to be mobile. They want to move. They don't want to get off their chair and hold their back. They don't want to pick up something off the floor and feel sore, right? This is their dream. They want to be able to play with their grandkids, whatever it is, right? What are their dreams? Understand it. Use that in your language. Then you have justify their failure. So what have they tried in the past already? So in the past, they've probably taken PT sessions and spent a lot of money on PT. They've tried the pills. They've tried stretching with a towel. They've tried a stretching band that's probably left their foot sore and all that kind of stuff. So understand what they've tried in the past and make sure you justify their failures. Because if you failed at business, let's say you did a business in the past, right? And you failed at it. I would come across a lot more as a friend to you if I said, hey, Aleena, don't worry about that past business. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I know what you're capable of. It's okay. Like, we all fail when we first start. You naturally have an affinity to that person, right? So if you can angle justifying someone's failures, they will naturally have an affinity to you. A lot of this is just psychology, right?
All this is building trust, I guess.
All of this is building trust, literally, right? So that's justify their failures. Then you allay their fears. What are they afraid of? So people in that age range are probably afraid of growing older and growing immobile and shriveling up and being unable to move, all the pains, aches, joint stiffness, all this stuff, right? And it's a real fear. Like, no one likes to grow old.
Yeah.
It's a reality, right? Reality of life. So How can you allay their fears? And in this context of this product, it's like you can reverse your aging. You're not actually aging. Your joints are not correctly being, nurtured. So you're losing mobility. You're not aging. There are many people.
Meaning there's something you can do about it.
Exactly. And you put power back in someone's hand. And this is truth, right? If you do take care of your mobility, you will age a lot more gracefully than someone who does no mobility. They will quintessentially be what you see as the aged person, right? So that's on that side. Then confirm their suspicions. So in every industry, everyone is suspicious of someone, right? So it might be big pharma in this case, or the pills, like everyone's suspicious nowadays with everything that's going on around the world. Is the pill the answer? It isn't, right? And most people already know that. They're suspicious of all these different gimmicks and all these different type of things. So when you can confirm their suspicions, saying that, all these expensive, PT sessions that do nothing for you, these pills that the doctor prescribed you that you don't need, that's putting random chemicals in your body. If you can identify what people are suspicious about and then confirm those suspicions, they're going to be on your side. A lot of this stuff is played out in politics too, right? Yeah, like this person is wrong, etc. People are like, yeah, I knew it all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, human side. And lastly, help them throw rocks at their enemies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's like, if you can help them throw rocks at the enemies by saying like, hey, you're right. This person is actually not have your best interest. These bans are actually really bad for you. If you combine all these things together, now you have a very powerful marketing formula.
Okay, wait. So now can we actually say it like as a paragraph, like using the Castle Flex example? I feel like people are probably taking notes of the 4 things and we're using this one example. I think it'd be nice to now hear how it sounds so we can kind of get that emotional click of, oh yeah, that does sound impactful when I hear it like that.
Yeah, so if I encourage their dreams, right, I'd come up with a contradictory statement saying that like, you're not stiff because you're growing old. You're stiff because you do nothing with your mobility or you don't train your mobility, right? This is completely off the cuff.
No, yeah, I love it.
But
I love it.
that's what I would kind of start it, right? So let's encourage their dreams, justify their failures. It's like those pills you're taking haven't worked because they're not designed to work. They're designed to patch a issue rather than heal it from the root cause, something that you have power over. So that's justify their failures. Then allay their fears. It's like, you don't have to grow old and feel sore every single day of your life. You have the power in your own hand to do something about it, right? Confirm their suspicions. So, the doctor or whatever who's prescribing your pills doesn't have your best interests at heart. They just want to make sure that you're okay for that moment, not okay for the rest of your life, right? Also, people like the PT likes to keep the dependency on you, for example, rather than actually give you something that you can depend on yourself with.
The PT wants retention too.
The PT wants retention too. Again, right? Like, even I have a PT. This is not in any way.
We love PTs.
We love PTs. But just in this context, right? And then lastly, help them throw rocks at the enemies. So we kind of already help them throw rocks at the enemies with that PT sentence. So essentially, this is like a rough way of, if I was reading this as a customer, I'd feel empowered. I'd be like, oh man, like I can feel better. It just requires 10 minutes a day of using a device to stretch. And I mean, what the hell, I might as well try all these Pilates classes I'm spending. It's costing me a lot more than just getting this device one time and seeing what happens. If it doesn't work, then, c'est la vie, right?
Firstly, Sam, you are good. I feel like when you went into your zone, I was like, oh my God, I can totally see that you've just like really been doing, because you were telling me you kind of started off with copywriting for emails. Yeah. I can totally see, I feel like as soon as I put you on the spot, you like went into this mode where I was like, wait, this makes so much sense. And I feel like the way you worded it was really powerful. And it actually makes the customer kind of annoyed at all the money they wasted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I heard that, imagining I was them, I was kind of like, that's so annoying actually that I spent on things that are not designed to help me.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to finally find the solution.
I think all of these sentences do one thing, and that's evoke emotion. Anyone or anything that can evoke emotion inside you has won you as a customer. So if you can do that, then you've won as a brand. That's why a lot of brands, they send a lot of generic content and it doesn't really evoke an emotion. It doesn't, like the best results we've gotten for the best brands, like we really push it with the stuff we can say, like, because we understand like that's what people want to read. Like they want to feel poked in a way.
Wow.
And that's what makes them go and buy. If you don't poke them and you're just saying, boring things,
then why would they open it? Exactly.
Why would they, what's differing you from anyone else in their inbox, right? So
how much is the subject copy crucial to this entire journey? Because the way I look at it is you need that first step for them to even open it, for all of the other value to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that one of the main stats you guys measure or look at is open rate, or how much do you feel it's relevant?
Subject line copy obviously is important. You want someone to open your email, undoubtedly. We don't put as much stress on open rates as we did in the past since iOS 14 because they've changed the whole formula on how it's opened. But if there's one thing I can say, every single brand that we've worked with, the way that we've moved the needle, aside from good design, is very fundamentally good copy. Copy, people don't understand, moves the needle so much. You can transform the entire retention of a brand with good copy completely.
And is it all back to knowing your customer avatar really well, so you know exactly like, okay, where does this person read, eat, sleep? Like, does it go back to that then? Like, how can I make my copy good? Like, what do I need to be thinking about?
I think a lot of people romanticize the custom avatar. It's like, I don't care if they drink Starbucks or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like people get really weird with that. I think that sentence is the best barometer that you can ever have. And sometimes, I'll give you an example. Sometimes I call it the shadow effect, right? Not everything is obvious. I'll give you an example. Let's take the male fitness industry, right? A lot of male fitness marketing is in order for a man to basically appeal to a woman, right? Get fit, get in shape. So, you feel like a lot of this is angled like that. The hidden motive for men is sometimes I don't want to walk into a room and feel emasculated by another man. Do you understand? So this is like, when you say this, a lot of guys might in mind be
All
like,
of a sudden it's like, wait, I'm definitely getting in the gym. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
true.
everything is like, I call it a shadow bit. Like even Alex Hormozy talks about this too. He calls it a shadow business. So for me as an agency owner, I'm not in the agency business. I'm actually in a recruitment business because the people that I hire directly are my product, right? Hiring well. For your case, it's not what's inside the bottle, it's what's outside the bottle. So the story, the brand, the packaging, the experiential, the experience you create of opening the box, all that stuff. That's the real business that you're in because every product nowadays has collagen in it, has X, Y, Z in it, right? But what do you make the customer feel?
100%.
This is the most important thing. And then for a product-based business like a software, you're actually in the product business because if you have a bad product that doesn't work, you're out of business.
I love that because it's like ditch the buzzwords like customer avatar and really it's about what's the real pain point here. Like not just a surface one, like you said, like look good for whatever. It's like, no, like show up and don't feel emasculated. Like you want a little deeper, which is in a way uncomfortable, but I think that's where the real sauce is.
100%.
Is like, what is the real thing that's going to evoke someone to be like, oh shit, I don't want to feel like that. Or, oh my God, that's so true. That's exactly how I feel, but I'm embarrassed to say that to my friends. And it's like actually really worth thinking about for beauty too, because I think the real pain points are the embarrassing ones that we probably are not all acknowledging. And I remember actually even my business coach was like, let's be honest, like makeup, like you want to look hot or whatever. And it's like some of the stuff that are the real reasons are like embarrassing to say out loud because it's like, oh, that's not empowering but sometimes the real pain point or the real trigger is this hidden truth that I think we're not actually all saying out loud. And if our email copy, going back to that, had the real trigger pain point, obviously we're all going to want to know like tips on how to fix that. And then let's go on the other end with like the tactical tips. Is there anything about emojis in a subject line, a CTA being a certain button?
So there are obviously tactical things that, in my opinion, make a difference, right? So the first thing, like everyone's got Black Friday, coming out, and I'll keep it agnostic. So kind of Black Friday because it's relevant to where we are now, as well as in general. I think the first thing is the top of the funnel, right? When it comes to email marketing, the first thing is having emails to market to. So it starts with your pop-up. One agnostic tip that applies, in my opinion, to everyone or every brand that we've worked with anyway, having a full screen pop-up is such a big game changer.
Oh, wow. So not the small box, but taking up the full screen.
So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
We've worked with a brand, Flawless Body, out the UK. I think before they came with us, we were also using the small pop-up. I think they were like 1.8% opt-in rate. Now we're at about, I think, 11% on desktop and 14% on mobile.
Wow, just because the size was much bigger.
Yes, we made it full screen. Another thing is gathering data from your audience on the pop-up. So for example, if you ask them a question saying like, hey, what brought you here today? And then you give them 4 different options within the niche that you solve, then ask for their email. People love to like identify something with themselves. We work with a brand called Hulist, and sometimes you can get really creative, right? And it all comes back down to being memorable. So who list ask, how calm are you feeling today? And then the answers are literally like calm or very calm.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. I even thought about this. I made a joke with my retention lead yesterday. And I said, how funny would it be if you literally ask someone on a pop-up saying, what's your favorite dinosaur?
Just like random.
Just like randomly, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine me as a customer, like I would click it. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
this is fun. This is
exactly.
different. Like, what, like it's a bit of a curveball. And then after you click it,
So true.
then you ask a relevant question. It's like, okay. And what's your favorite skincare routine?
I
Whatever
love that. It's like one, to check if you're listening almost.
Exactly.
And also to not, again, just feel like we're being marketed at in such an obvious, boring way. I guess that's the whole point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then imagine in your first email, you had their favorite dinosaur deliver the welcome email.
Oh, I love that.
You know,
Wait,
like,
this is
just-
so interesting.
You know what I mean? Like just, again, it all comes down to how can I stand out? How can I give
Yeah.
someone an experience that they're not used to having? I think this is what like look at the best brands in the world. You talk about them because they've done something that not everyone else is doing. You look at the liquid deaths, they're outlandish.
100%.
You remember them because they evoke an emotion. You know that they're going to say something absolutely nutty and get away with it because that's who they are. Right?
I mean, they just told us to sign our souls away to them. So imagine, like, the fact that I know that and I'm not their target customer because I heard
Exactly,
about
right?
that strategy.
It's being memorable.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people and brands play it way too safe and then they wonder why things are not working. And the reason it's not working is because what reason are you giving people to remember you, right?
Yeah, I love that. So everyone has a welcome pop-up series. So I think this is really helpful. So make it larger. After I put in my email or my SMS, have a quiz. And is
Before.
Oh, before.
Yeah,
Okay.
So before the quiz or the question, and then an email to send, a thank you or like, thanks for
Perfect.
answering
And
that,
then you
whatever
enter
else
the
it is, you know.
series. Is the quiz because of list segmentation? Because based on what I answered, then you put me in a list, or what is it for? Yeah.
So yes, 100%. It's a great form of segmentation because you know what problem people have. So if you release a new product down the line specific to that person,
Yeah.
you could have a specific campaign towards that person as well as another one to your wider list because you never know who else has that problem. But yes, also for data purposes for yourself to know what distribution of audience
And who's even
you
on
have
your
and-
site? Exactly.
Exactly. And like what they struggle with. And third, I think it's just kind of engaging, right? It's like people like to answer questions about themselves. People like to put themselves in a box. That's why all of these like INTJ quizzes and stuff are great because people like to know more about themselves.
So true.
So-
Everything, human design, our love language, we're all obsessed with like, tell me more about like
Exactly.
what box I'm in. You're so right. So let's go into lists and segmentation. So on one end, there's by habit, it's like, okay, I have oily skin, I have dry skin, but then there's another more technical segmentation strategy, which is how engaged I am in the community. So I know there's like highly engaged. Some people do lists of like 90 days, 60 days, 30. How do you recommend someone segments by engagement? And based on that, who should we be sending our weekly campaigns to? Is it everyone that opts in or is it a certain list?
So this is a multi-pronged sword. First thing I'll say is for most brands, I'd say more of like a very simple system where you have 30-day engaged, 60-day engaged, and 90-day engaged. Shout out to Adam Kitchen. He calls it a traffic light system. Really good concept. Basically, you have green, which is your 30-day engaged, your most engaged people.
What does that even mean? Is engaged that I opened it or I did more than that?
Open click.
Okay.
Everyone defines engage, I guess, in a different way. But
Okay.
essentially, like
I'm not ignoring your email.
yeah, like open and maybe clicked as
Yeah.
well, right? So 30-day, then 60-day, then 90 or 180 days is what you call like a red. So these people are kind of not too engaged, right? So that's for most brands. If you're a slightly bigger brand, let's say you're doing 8 figures, this is where you want to get a little bit more tactical with it. So
Okay.
I'll give you an example. We work with a supplement brand, and one thing we do is we have people who are already customers, people who are prospects, so they haven't purchased yet, and then people who have purchased, but then they unsubscribe from the subscription for whatever reason. And we tell our copywriters in the brief, the same email, just very small tweak to the language. So the prospect, the language of the exact same email will be pertaining to the fact that they haven't bought yet and giving them a compelling reason to try. A very small tweak for a win back is acknowledging that they've already been a customer and why they should come back. And then for a customer, if they want to buy again. So you can basically make very small tweaks to the exact same creative and segment it and send it to different cohorts of people. Another massive leverage point that I've learned recently, actually, and this is something cool to share.
Okay.
You can game the system with engage, segments, and deliverability. And I'll explain to you how. A lot of people are scared to send to their entire list, right?
Why?
Because it can tank your deliverability. If I continuously send all of my emails to everybody, the waiting, because you're obviously always going to have more unengaged people because not everyone's going to be engaged with the emails. This is the reality of life, right? And if you keep sending to those people, you're sending a message to your internet service provider, let's say Google or whatever it is that they're receiving, that, hey, this person doesn't send relevant emails because X% of people have not opened or clicked. That's why a lot of agencies and brands play it very safe and only send to engaged customers because it makes the numbers look better.
And is it that I also go to spam? Is
Yes.
Google like, oh, they ignore you, you're
Correct.
in spam now.
Yeah.
You're in jail, basically.
Exactly. So you can
Okay.
go to
So
jail.
that really matters then, because you're
matters a lot.
wasting. Yeah.
100%. And this is why a lot of people end up playing it too safe. That's why the traffic light system is important, because you can target a lot of your main or like your smaller emails to your more engaged segments. And then when you have the big sales, the Black Fridays, whatever it is that you're doing, your summer sale, that you can target to everybody, because now you're playing a balancing act. A really cool thing that I've learned recently that you can do to game the system is, especially now on Black Friday, where a lot of people want to basically get the max coverage they can of every email they send. So what you can do is you can send one email. So let's say I've made a creative, one email. I can send that to my highly engaged customers, and then an hour later, send it to everybody. I'll tell you why. When you send it to your highly engaged customers, it's already in that moment boosting your deliverability and telling your internet service provider, hey, this brand just sent out a great email. If you within an hour, after an hour passes, send it to everybody, you are now riding off of that amazing, highly engaged email that you sent that got a lot of opens and the momentum of that, and sending it to everyone. So in Black Friday, it's a really cool thing you can do. Start by sending it to a very small cohort of your high engaged people, then send it to everyone after that.
I love that, because obviously everyone listening, Black Friday is coming up soon, so this is so relevant. So, okay, that makes sense, because I thought initially that it just ruins deliverability per sender. So I thought it just means like, I'm Aleena, if I'm not opening it, it goes in Aleena's spam. I didn't know that Google's noticing it as an email in general, the quality
Your
of the
domain
email.
is the
Wow,
reputation.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's
your
not
domain
just
rep.
per person, it's like this, okay. Oh, wow.
So
okay.
reputation is
That's
your
really good to
domain
know.
that you're sending from. Your
Yeah.
sending domain.
No, honestly, Sam, you're the perfect full disclosure guest, because I feel like you really are sharing so much, and I know the listeners are probably taking notes, and I'm taking mental notes. So my listeners are business owners, are aspiring entrepreneurs. They want to feel like there's no question. We're not judging for any question they have in mind. This is like an open space. What advice do you have to business owners listening, or someone that, you know, is just intimidated by all this?
What I would have told myself back, and what I did tell myself back when I was starting, firstly, there's never going to be a perfect situation. There's always going to be more you can learn, another note you can write down, something you can take. What I would say is scrap all that and just get in the arena. If you're in the arena and you're hitting reps and you're taking shots, you're going to inadvertently learn way more than the person sitting on the sidelines watching a whole bunch of things, trying to take notes and stuff. Obviously, like, watch it. I still watch podcasts. I still listen to YouTube videos and take notes. But the main thing I've done is I take action immediately after that. And, you know, I've spoken to so many people who ask friends, a lot of family members, etc., like, hey, like, how do you X, Y, Z? And the answer is always the same, but the excuse is always the same. It's just like, get in the arena and give it a shot. And then people have all these questions like, oh yeah, but you know, I can't. It's like people make excuses of why they can't rather than why they can. And the fundamental thing is how you talk to yourself. So instead of I can't because, it's how can I do it, right? Because then you open your mind to possibilities. If you say I can't because or XYZ excuse, you're literally speaking your reality. Amazing. You can't because XYZ, perfect. That's going to be the reality. How can I? Opens your mind to work in a different octane. It starts to look for solutions rather than reasons you can't do something. So the best thing I'd say to someone looking to get started in a business is, yes, learn. Take a month to learn and, you know, sponge up information. But if that information is not embedded in action and doing something, and it can be a very small step, right? Rome is not built in a day, and, you know, Mount Kilimanjaro is climbed, you know, one step at a time. As cringy as that sounds, it's true, right? All you can do is take one step from where you are.
Because most people never take the first step.
Exactly. And the reason they don't take the first step is because they don't have clarity on where they're going. So if your goal is, I want to start X business, write out what it requires. Like, what do I need to do? Ask ChatGPT. Now you have access to AI. Right? You
Yeah.
don't even need to think yourself. Ask it, if I were to wanting to do X, Y, Z, where do I need to start? Give me a step-by-step plan. I also say first write it yourself, so you still train your critical thinking, then align it with ChatGPT. So that way you have your own source into it and you have AI and you can collaborate the two, right? Never outsource your thinking to ChatGPT entirely because you will lose your power to think critically. Once you've done that, just start with the smallest step, break it down. Okay, what do I need to do? And just go do it. And then what you need to reinforce in your mind is, I'm on a winning streak. I'm on a winning streak. When you keep telling yourself you're on a winning streak, you want to go again and keep going. And it's crazy what can happen one step at a time.
I absolutely love that because I'm a big believer in the power of words, and the quality of thinking is the quality of your life.
Yeah.
So I love that you're focusing on that. And speaking of AI, let's actually talk about what you built with Magicals. I would love for you to share that with the community because it's such a helpful resource for everyone, especially we've just talked about email, right? It's like, what is it? How can people use it?
I appreciate that. Magicals was born out of a very deep problem that I've had in running an agency. As I've grown the agency, you want to work with bigger and larger clients at all times, right? It's just a natural trajectory of running an agency.
And you deserve that. You've worked hard. It's exciting to work with big clients too.
I appreciate it. But the true mission is actually to help everyone in this space. Like, the brand owners work so hard to bring something to life. How can you empower that? As an agency, you keep on wanting to work with, the 8-figure, 9-figure brands. You know how it is, right? And it kind of leaves this big chasm in between for everyone else to not really take advantage of email. So what we've done is we've taken everything we've learned at the agency at Frosted, taken all of that DNA, and we've actually created an AI generative email creation tool.
So cool.
Because whenever I speak to founders, why don't you do email? It's like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't know what to make, I don't know how to do it.
Or
it's
I can't hire a designer because looks matter with email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've built a tool in Magicals where you literally can just click a button. It already knows and understands your brand, your copy, everything. And it will literally generate the email for you.
Wow.
And you can just send it.
So copy and design?
Everything, the whole stack. So within an hour session, I'd say an hour, it's absolutely pushing it. If you want to really be pedantic and make changes, you could have your month's emails ready within, I'd say, even 45 minutes, sat down, a month's worth of emails after you've reviewed them and made the changes, and you don't even need to worry about it. You can send it, schedule it, get back to focusing on your stuff. And it helps any brands. Like, we have brands doing 80 million in GMV actively using it today to send out their emails.
That is so cool. So it's like Frosted is like the deep strategy and Magicals is simplifying copy and design for emails.
Exactly. Frosted is if you want that white glove service.
Yeah.
You want to pay the money for the white glove service and you want to just close your eyes and have an expert team deal with it. That's what that's for. But not every brand is in that position. And they need to send email. So Magicals, I'd say, is more than excellent for pretty much everyone.
That's amazing. That's so helpful. I wish I knew about it early in our beginning of Citizen, but it's like still relevant today. What are the right questions to ask when someone is chatting to an email marketing retention agency? Because I think a lot of things are over pitching, overselling, and I know some of the stuff you feel like are bullshit. If I'm a client and I need to figure out who to trust, what are the right things I should be asking, or what are the red flags that people promise you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of it is in terms of effort. So we put a lot of effort into the audit. When you see effort put into an audit, we actually had a brand that we spoke to, just as an example, right? We put so much effort into all of our audits. The brand owner actually didn't end up working with us because we were a little bit out of budget, etc. 2 months later, I get an introduction from that brand owner to another massive company, and we end up signing them, and he's part investor into that company. Got on a huddle with him, and I said, hey man, like, what made you do that? He says, you've left a really positive impression on me based on the audit that you did. I could tell the effort that you guys put into it, and I wanted to work with you, but I just couldn't. But here's another way I can. So it's crazy how things come full circle.
Love that.
Look at the effort the agency puts in to winning your business. And there are so many other like tactical things. Like, do they just take Klaviyo dashboards? I'd say even ask them, can you refer me to a client that you're working with?
Yeah.
Can I speak to them on a private basis or whatever?
Totally.
That could be great too. But there are, like, those are the main two things that I would say.
So like taking Klaviyo dashboards, which if anyone isn't aware, like Klaviyo is like an email CRM software that like is really popular for Shopify brands and e-com brands. I actually use it for Citizen as well. But so is it not enough to have just analytics from Klaviyo? What should I expect? Is that not?
I can change my attribution window to like 30 days and show you a really nice Klaviyo dashboard.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a barometer of any form of success. At the same time, Some brands we work with operate on a 1 day attribution. And if you look in their thing, that it's showing 10%, but they're crushing it because it's 1 day, right? So it's asking more questions. Like, how do you think about email? Like, show me some creatives that you've actually written. Like, make a real deduction. Like, what we do is we actually design the email for the brand on our audit to show them what our creative direction actually looks like. So we think, how can I leave no stone unturned so the person can make a decision on this audit call?
Exactly. But I'm curious about the reporting a little bit, because you mentioned it's not enough to just see a dashboard. How are you providing even deeper insight than what's on their CRM? Is it because you're also looking at Shopify, for example?
Exactly. And Google Analytics. We get a holistic picture of their business, not just a siloed version of what's going on in their Klaviyo accounts. We try to look at different areas of the business and get a source of truth.
Amazing. 2 last questions that are rapid fire. One is MailChimp, Klaviyo. Is there a favorite that you're like, you guys should all be using this CRM, or are they all pretty much the same?
I mean, we prefer Klaviyo. We think Klaviyo does have the best features. It, to me, is the gold standard. Massive company. I think if you're an e-commerce brand owner, I think Klaviyo is...
because they do SMS as well, so it's kind of easy.
They do both,
And then lastly, it is Black Friday season. Anything to not do in your Black Friday marketing for email, or any best practices? I know some people do layers of promo codes, like the more you spend, the more percentage off you get. Some people just do completely free shipping on everything this week. Anything to share for Black Friday that you feel is worth thinking about?
Don't assume that everyone knows your offer. Because what a lot of brand owners do is they'll put their offer on their website and then they'll assume that everybody knows their offer. So directly what I'd say is, number one, on your pop-up, when you're in your Black Friday pop-up, reiterate what the Black Friday offer is and have a countdown timer on there as well. And you'll be surprised at how much that moves the needle. So that's a very tactical thing for Black Friday.
Pressure, I guess.
So add a countdown timer, show them that there's X amount of time left, and reiterate what the offer is. And have that pop-up go on your product pages as well. So like, you're in a product page or whatever, like an exit intent, something of this nature. A lot of people don't revamp their email flows on Black Friday. So they send the exact same flow. One of the highest leverage activities you can do is your core flows. Let's say your opt-in, abandoned cart, or your browser abandonment flow. Get those and change them and make them tailored towards Black Friday. Even if it's the first 3 emails, whatever, reiterate the offer. You'll convert way more. Because if you're saying that your Black Friday offer and your welcome flow is exactly the same as it was, it doesn't align.
Yeah, that's
and the
true.
biggest thing that kills sales in any e-commerce funnel is a lack of cohesive congruency. So your ads say one thing, your landing page says another, your email says another. It's just confusing. It's
so true. And it's like it's Halloween theme on Instagram, but then on your welcome series, because you didn't update it, it's still my image from 2 years ago. It's like make everything cohesive on theme to October, November, whatever month we're in.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that, because those are all simple fixes, and sometimes we're just not wanting to put in the extra effort, but that's what converts.
Fundamentals. People want to do these crazy advanced moves when they don't have the fundamentals. It's like boxing, right? Like, it's a random example, but if your fundamentals aren't down in boxing, you're gonna get knocked out.
Totally. You're thinking about your client, Layla Ali. I know what you're doing. No, Sam, it was such a pleasure having you. You're so awesome. So everyone check out either Frosted Agency or Magical's AI. There's so many cool things that Sam's working on. But most importantly, I'm so excited that one listener actually gets to win a free consultation with you, because I'm sure they'll feel that you've added so much value. But yeah, one listener, and you guys know how it works. Like, it's all in the show notes, but one listener will win a free call, and Sam can do, an audit or chat with you about your brand strategy for email and SMS. And I think that's such a cool opportunity. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing with us.
Thank you, Aleena. It's been a pleasure. Great talking to you, and excited for your listeners when you air all of these awesome episodes with all the other amazing guests.
I can't wait also. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode and feel inspired by everything that our guest shared, don't forget that you can win a 1-hour free consultation call with today's expert. All you have to do is look at the episode description and the show notes to see all the steps to enter to win this call. We will select one winner only from this episode, and you'll find out within 1 week of this episode's air date. We'll put you in touch with the expert. You'll schedule a time to meet for a call, and the expert guest will look at your brand or answer your personalized questions, and you'll really get a one-on-one audit and consultation, which is such an exciting opportunity. Exclusive for our full disclosure listeners.